sitting here with GōSt from the Pink Dream, who is a one-man production, a singer, songwriting, multi-instrumentalist, self-produced artist who fills the auditory system with layer upon layer of sound detail only the Trent Reznors of the world are capable of dreaming up and pulling off. Thank you for taking the time to sit with me. You released your EP, Bring Into the Being, last year, and it's easily one of my favorite albums of the last few years. So thanks for sitting with us. Where does the name The Pink Dream come from?
It actually comes from an old Chinese silent film from the 20s called The Pink Dream, or A Dream in Pink. It was about this poor businessman who's befriended by sort of rich socialite and is taken out on the town and shown like the extravagant life, and kind of, throws away his normal life in the process. But at the end, he goes back to his family, rejects all that, and says it was all just a dream in pink.
Oh, wow.
And, so I think originally it was probably more of a propaganda piece about Western decadence, but I still like the sentiment. So
that's super interesting. Is this something that you watched yourself, or?
I've seen pieces of it, but I read about it. No, it was like there's the name. I looked it up. I was surprised that nobody had used it before.
Right.
So I quickly went in and started making a couple social media accounts just to grab the name. I mean, I think there are a couple like cosmetic companies that use the name, but there aren't any bands. So
pretty cool. Do you remember the moment you decided you wanted to be a musician?
I don't know. I do remember really wanting to learn how to play that guitar solo at the end of We Will Rock You.
Right on.
And I mean, that's probably the oldest memory I have of wanting to play guitar, play music.
How old were you?
Probably about 10. And then I think maybe 11. And then the next year for Christmas or my birthday or something, got a first act guitar starter kit.
Yeah.
And
self-taught?
Yeah. I never took any lessons and I never even learned my scales. To this day, I don't know any scales.
That's all right, man. We were having this conversation not too long ago that B.B. King, he knows his scales, but he doesn't know chords. He's like, he self-admitted that he's shitty with chords, so.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way with chords, too. I mean, I play a lot of bar chords.
Yeah.
Power chords.
But it fits your music so well.
Yeah, it works, and there's just something fun about power chords.
So you started with the guitar, but you play other instruments, right?
I mean, as much as any other musician that I know, like I wouldn't say I'm proficient in anything. I'm barely proficient in guitar.
I wouldn't say that.
I mean, I guess I can play some keyboards. I guess I can play some drums if I had to, but
you're pretty good at the bass.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I've had to learn how to do, filling in with other bands and learning the difference between how you play a bass and versus how you play a guitar.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
What was your first band, and how old were you?
My first band was called Zounds. We were, I guess, 13.
Oh, wow. That's pretty young.
I'd had my guitar for a year, maybe a year and a half, and a friend of mine had also recently gotten a guitar, and another friend of ours had gotten a drum set. And after we had had our instruments for a while, we got together one day to jam. We, of course, tried to play other bands' songs, do covers at first, but none of us knew any of the same songs. So we would get, 30 seconds into a song and then not know what to do.
Right.
So we're sitting there realizing this is not working. We're all just kind of noodling around. And my friend is just going up and down on the guitar, playing something. And I was like, hey, what was that you just played? Like those first 4 beats. Like that could be a riff.
Uh-huh.
And so we start jamming on that. And then it's like, well, okay, we need an intro. Well, this riff starts and ends on the same note. How about you hold that note and then I'll play it and hold the end note, and then you play it. We'll go back and forth, and then we'll come together, and then the drums will come in. And then we did that. And then it's like, okay, well, what next? How about we go quiet? That's a good Smashing Pumpkins trick. If you've gone as high as you can go, just bring it all the way back down again. And then we come back in, you play a guitar solo. How do we end it? Well, we just play the riff backwards as an outro. And we had a song in a couple hours. The first time any of us had ever played music with other people.
Wow.
We had a song of our own that wasn't based off of anything else. And so we started a band.
That's pretty cool that at the age of 13, you're like already figuring out intros and outros and, how to resolve, you know.
I mean, that band was how I learned, that's how I really learned how to play guitar, was playing with them. And that's how I learned how to write music.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. What inspires you to write?
I don't know that I could really tell you. I mean, normally I try not to think of anything. I mean, lately I've been trying to be a little more conscious of what I'm writing, what I'm writing about. But most of the time it's just, I feel like playing guitar. I'll come up with something that sounds good and just take it from there. Like, try not to think about anything else while I'm doing it.
So when you think of or you come up with a riff, right? What follows? Because your music is very layered. And that's one of the things that, to me, that speaks a lot to me. It seems like you put a lot of thought into what it is that you're doing. So how do you approach that? How do you pick up your guitar, there's a riff, what comes next?
I mean, I write all my songs just on a guitar, like usually just playing my electric, like not plugged in, just playing it acoustically sitting on the couch. And I generally don't think of anything else while I'm writing a song.
Okay.
I usually try to write songs that you could play with just an acoustic guitar or just a piano and voice if you wanted to. But all those extra layers, that just comes in when I go to record. Recording to me is like a second chance at writing a song.
Oh.
Like, that's my favorite part of writing, of music, is the writing part of it, is the actual creation of it. Going to record a song is kind of like a second chance to feel that, that inspiration again.
So do you feel like you're patient when because before we started rolling, we were talking about how artists, they get that song, right? And then they record it and then they just want it out as soon as possible. Do you feel like you're patient with your process?
Yes, I think I am very much. I mean, when I write a song, usually it it's over the course of several months.
Oh, wow.
I'll come up with an idea, play it for a little bit, and then just sit with it for a few days. And then maybe a couple days later, feel like playing it again, see what comes. Like, there's not, I usually don't force anything. So in short bursts, I'll write a song in short bursts over the course of 6 months or a year.
Oh, wow.
And when it comes to recording, I'll take as long as it needs. I mean, this record spent like close to 2 years on it.
Wow.
So yeah, I've never been one to just get it done and put it
Put it
out
out.
like that.
So you're a one-person band, and yet, like we've been saying, when I listen to Bring Into Being, I hear so much detail in those songs. Like your song Far Off Things, Part 3. Every time I think I've heard all the little things, the little magic, I hear something else. For a song like that, how did that idea come about?
That one was a little different. I think I had just a chord progression, a simple chord progression. And one thing I kind of do a lot is just, I use GarageBand
Mm-hmm.
on my phone. That's how I recorded this record. But like, I'll kind of write and record a song at the same time. So, record that guitar part into GarageBand and start adding drums or whatever to it and see what happens. With that one, I was messing around with the loops that come provided with GarageBand. One of them is like, it's called gospel singer or something. Just this female vocalist just saying hey and going up and down a scale. I cut off the first snippet of that, put it into a sampler and played chords with it. And suddenly it seemed like a totally different song. And just kind of built it around that.
I think that's the cool part about that song is that, as a listener, I'm thinking that like he's got these gospel singers in his studio wherever he records, right?
Sometimes I feel my dreams are more real than life. Since you arrived, since you arrived into
let's talk about recording the album on your iPhone.
Yeah, so it was the pandemic. We were already in summer, so everything's locked down.
Mhm.
Nothing's going on. Most people were creating content, putting it out on YouTube and stuff, doing something with their time.
Sure.
By July and August, I started thinking like, I need to get something done or I'm going to hate myself for wasting this time.
Because I was the only one who didn't put
Yeah,
out.
I'm doing nothing anyways. I should take this time. I've got some songs. I should record it. I didn't have a computer,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't have any money to build one, especially at that time. Like, prices for PC parts
They
had
were,
already
yeah,
skyrocketed.
everybody was buying all of that stuff
Yeah,
up.
there's chip shortages and supply chain issues. It would have cost me well over $1,000 for that.
You know, you're triggering me with this conversation, right? I'm kidding.
But I found out that you can get a USB interface and plug it straight into your iPhone.
Okay.
I've been using GarageBand for years, so I'm very familiar with it. And at this point, you know, they've got support for plugins and all that. It's a fully capable DAW. So I thought, yeah, I'll just make the record on my phone. So I got the interface, came with a free mic and a free set of headphones.
Uh-huh.
I bought a SM57 at the pawn shop. Bought one other mic, MXL R144 ribbon, and just started recording in my basement.
So, how did you figure it? How did you figure out that you could do that though? Because when you listen to this record, it doesn't sound like it was recorded on an iPhone. Someone told me, like, do you know he recorded this? One of our mutual friends, hi Charlie, said to me, you know, he recorded that album on an iPhone, and I said, you're shitting me. And he was like, no. So how did you figure out? It doesn't sound like it at all. I would have thought you went into a studio, you had a producer, you sent it out to get mastered, the whole nine. It's love the quality of it. So how did you figure out?
YouTube. You know, like I was saying, like most musicians I know, I've kind of been recording music as long as I've been playing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've all recorded practices or done bedroom demos. But I had never really taken the technical side of it seriously. I just went on YouTube and just spent dozens and dozens of hours learning the basics, how to use a compressor, how to properly use an EQ, how to use mic placement to your advantage, the proximity effects. Watched everything that Steve Albini has ever put out. He's kind of the go-to guy.
Yep.
I mean,
I'm wearing the Steve Albini.
Yes, I noticed that when I walked in.
Thank you.
Like, I appreciate the engineer's get up.
Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, at this point, YouTube is all you need. I mean, I knew next to nothing when I started this.
That's amazing.
And yeah, so I mean, anybody can do it.
That's amazing. Not that you knew next to nothing, because I think you knew a little bit more than you're letting on.
I mean,
but
maybe like I might have slightly more experience recording music than the average musician going into it, but like once I started looking into it, I realized that I really didn't know a whole lot.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn out there, and definitely some really good tools. You know, YouTube is a great tool for that. So, but you also have you have something extra. You have a really, really good ear for what sounds good. And do you want to tell me a little bit about what you're doing with production now
Um,
for Last Known Yeti?
yeah, so recording my record has, like, I was never interested in the technical aspects of stuff before, but learning all this stuff now I am, and so I'd love to get into it with other musicians, with other bands, and a friend of mine, the singer for Last Known Yeti. Well, I'm friends with everybody in the
Yeah.
band. You know, he was joking. I kind of walked into the conversation, talking about recording new music. He's like, I want to get him to record it. I was like, wait, what?
Wow.
He was like, I want
Meaning
you to
you.
record it. Yeah. He's like, I want you to record it. I was like, I'll do it. I mean, tell me when and where, I'll do it. He's like, well, before I do that, I want to get the old album remixed. 'Cause they had put out an album a few years ago,
Mhm.
but he's never been quite happy with the way it sounded. They did the same thing that some other people have done, just kind of set an arbitrary deadline for
Mhm.
themselves
Mhm.
before it was finished. This is something Aaron Testerman has taught me. Don't set a release date until it's finished.
He's a wise man.
Yes. And so they just didn't have time to really do what they needed to do with it. But so I'm going to be getting the full session files and tracks from them sometime soon, and I'll get to mix an entire record of someone else's music, which will be really fun, and I'm sure I'll learn even more doing that.
Absolutely. So is this the direction that you feel you want to go? Do you want to produce other people's records as well as do the Pink Dream, obviously?
Yeah,
But
I mean, like, I really enjoy it. Kind of like, I mean, we're talking about Steve Albini. He's got a very hands-off approach. He
Mhm.
considers himself an engineer, not a producer. I think I would kind of gravitate more towards the producing of it,
Right.
having a sort of some input and collaboration. Did that with Muldier while
okay.
they were recording their record. Being there, like, as a fifth member.
Mhm.
But yeah, I also just love the technical side of it now. So I would love to. Any band that I see, I'm like, hey, I'll record your record. Like, if you want to do an EP or something, like, I'll do it for free. Just give me some gas money, just so I can get the experience. So yeah, I would love to get into that.
That's awesome. You definitely have a good ear for that. I mean, considering once again that, the way that your record sounds and that it was so DIY that it was it really blows my mind that you recorded it on your phone.
I will say, one of the songs was recorded on a cassette recorder.
Okay, well.
Ely Lights was recorded on a
Jay just flipped them off for,
yeah. Yeah.
Some people just have it like that.
just life. Am alive and fade at faults as you go enjoy a line in the sand. And the old great untold stories burn in some forgotten lands. And the old God offers what they don't know, that they don't understand. They don't understand. Romeo is dying to meet her. Julia is dying to please. And it all, well, it'd be something out of a dream. But life is only for the living. You know she put it all your life. Baby, oh, I wish to see you at night. We'll see you again. They say the best laid plans is just right. Never up. Boat up our sails too well, but with his head in his hands, Lucifer breathes out to chase that world beyond the end of his chains. And the old God offers what they don't know, that they don't understand. They don't understand. Romeo is dying to see her. Julia is dying to dream. And it all, well, it'd be all so sad if you believe that life is only for the living. But the truth is nothing ever dies.
So one of the things that I have been, when your name comes up in conversation is when you play live, you play by yourself and you have your tracks and it sounds great. And comments have been made before, like he should get a full
Yeah.
band, right? Do you prefer to do your live act by yourself, or would you?
I don't.
No?
No. I've never liked performing live in general, but doing it by yourself like sucks even more.
You're totally exposed, man.
Yeah. And I'm not much of a showman, so yeah, you feel kind of naked up there. Yeah, ideally I have a full band, but the problem at this point is like to recreate the set, it would take another guitarist, a bassist, a drummer, a keyboard player,
And gospel backgrounds.
and all of them got to be able to sing.
Right.
So I kind of painted myself into a corner
Oh.
here. You know, I mean, our friend DJ has said, like, the backing tracks, you know, doing it the way I do it is the kind of charm of it.
It is.
But yeah, ideally it would be a live band. Like playing to backing tracks, I mean, you're playing to click tracks basically. And it's just not as fun, not as expressive, and there's no one else on stage to look at but me.
And you
So,
can't deviate from that.
yeah, that's the problem. There's no improvisation.
Sure.
Like, yeah, and if you miss a beat, like, yeah, there's no fixing that.
Sure.
Like,
But I do have to agree with DJ that is part of the charm. I also think it's incredibly brave because I understand at least as much as like what you said. If you miss a beat, the loop keeds going, right?
Yeah.
And you're the one who has to
Yeah.
come back and catch up, right?
yeah, I mean, yeah. Ideally, it would be a live band. I just
Maybe in the future.
yeah, at some point in the future.
Yeah. All right. Who are your biggest musical influences?
Well, number one is always going to be the Smashing Pumpkins.
I knew it.
I mean, sometimes I worry just how obvious it's gotta be that I get just almost everything from the Smashing Pumpkins. But yeah, just so much of it. I mean,
Well, I think so. Your album has hints of it.
yeah,
And the first time I heard you, which I was at Days Off Deli, you drew me in, and I'm watching you, and I was like, yeah, there's some hints of Smashing Pumpkins here, but other things also.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Of course, there's other stuff. I mean, Radiohead's another big one.
Okay.
Like Billy Corgan was how I learned how to play guitar. Tom York was where I learned how to sing.
Okay.
I, from years of singing along to the Pumpkins, I think I've kind of developed some of his mannerisms and bad vocal tendencies. But yeah, you know, 9 Inch Nails, like you mentioned, like is another big one.
Mm-hmm.
Pink Floyd,
Oh, you're speaking now. You're speaking my language with 9 Inch Nails and Pink Floyd here.
like the Neutral Milk Hotel.
Okay.
And with the drums, like some hip hop stuff, like Wu-Tang Clan's first record.
Wow.
I really like the production of that record.
Okay.
And like the layering of drum samples on that is always it was always interesting to me. But yeah, I mean, those are the big ones. I mean, of course, Bowie. Like Ziggy Stardust
Yep.
was a very big record for me. And recently, like I've had several people come up to me after sets and compare the music to T-Rex, which I found was
Wow.
is a great compliment.
Yeah. You're not kidding.
So yeah, I mean those are probably the biggest ones.
I would have been so tickled to hear that.
It was very flattering.
Yeah.
Because early on, like with my last band, Joy Radio, I would get one that I hated, Muse.
Oh, really?
I think because of my voice. I guess the music wasn't dissimilar either, but yeah. I mean, maybe we shouldn't do this. I don't want to throw shade at anybody.
It's
like
okay.
I just
I mean, we all have our preference, but you mentioned 3: 9 Inch Nails, Pink Floyd, and Bowie. Those 3 are on my top 5. So we're we're right there. It's okay. We all have our preferences, right? Are you working on anything new?
Yeah, working on quite a bit of new stuff. Like I said, it normally takes me months to write a song, but at any point in time, I'm writing 10, 15
Oh, wow.
songs. So I've got plenty of music. I've got another 4 records worth of music
Holy
that needs to be recorded.
Yeah. Okay. I'm ready for that.
I'm really bad at self-motivating,
Mm-hmm.
which is why it took me 2 years to record this one. But right now, I've got a couple of tracks that were originally planned for Bring Into Being, that I want to release as a double B-side. And after that, I'll be recording a full-length record.
Excellent.
That'll be fairly drastic departure. It'll be more like there's a lot more doom metal on the next one.
Okay. I can totally get into that.
Like I got into Sleep and like
Is this Aaron's influence by any chance?
no, this was our friend Arlie's influence.
Okay.
Like, and you know, of course I always loved Sabbath.
Oh, yeah.
And like, you know, always liked heavy music, just never played a whole lot of it. But I've wanted to learn how to, just do other things. Write riff-based music, which I've never done before. Yeah, so, and the idea with the Pink Dream is to just do anything that I want. Like,
Absolutely.
have electro pop on one track and then a doom metal song on the next one. That's one thing I always appreciated about the Pumpkins. They kind of did everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, their departure from Infinite Sadness into Adore was like,
yeah,
what just happened?
It was pretty huge. And then you get into the B-sides off of all that stuff. They're even crazier. Yeah, you go from these walls of guitars to synths and drum machines.
Right.
But it's fully realized. Like, yeah, so, and then, yeah, Melancholy itself is already got a lot of stuff on it. Like, you've got metal and grunge and alternative, but you've got folk songs, you've got pop songs on there. Yeah, I've just never seen any reason to like limit yourself,
pigeonhole yourself into a
yeah,
genre or
and like I appreciate bands that kind of do everything. Radiohead's another one. Like,
sure.
That you know a Radiohead song when you hear it, but like they didn't just stick to one thing.
Absolutely. it's not that I hear the Smashing Pumpkins when I hear you, but like those little hints of it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're always going to be there. I mean, yeah, my friend introduced me to them when I was 11, and for that next year, that entire school year, I listened to nothing but Melancholy.
Wow. That was the first album that you heard? Or
Yeah, I mean, I had probably heard one of the singles like Today or something
Mhm.
before, but like I guess I got the greatest hits first, but
okay.
then I bought Melancholy, because Zero was my favorite off the greatest hits,
Right.
so I wanted that record, and had a long bus ride to and from school,
Uh-huh.
so with my little portable CD player, I'd bring Dawn to Dusk one day and Twilight to Starlight the next day.
Uh-huh.
Just listen to nothing but that record for 9 months.
Wow.
So, and then later, as I got a little older, it was Adore and Machina
Mhm.
that I really came to appreciate a lot more. Melancholy kind of made me want to play music, but I think the music got a little bit deeper
Mhm.
with those later records. But yeah, I've just listened to so much Pumpkins that there's no escaping.
Yeah.
It's
The influence,
it's always going to
right?
be fairly apparent.
I like Gish. Gish is probably my favorite album by them. And I was in high school when that came out. So there was a lot of late night partying going on with that record. So
I got into the Pumpkins a month and a half after they broke up.
oh shit. Poor timing.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit more about Bring Into Being. What is your favorite song from that album and why?
Well, I'd probably have to make a distinction between the favorite song and the favorite recording.
Okay.
Favorite recording is Of These Far Off Things Part 3.
Okay.
And I knew early on that was going to be the high point of the record. But favorite song,
Which one's the most personal to you?
maybe Of These Far Off Things 5.
Okay.
And only because it was written very stream of conscious. And I don't even know what it's really about.
That's amazing.
It's just, yeah, I didn't put any thought at all
Uh-huh.
into like the lyrics. When I write a song, first I'm just writing a melody and singing gibberish over it.
Mm-hmm.
But as I'm writing this song, slowly those gibberish words started turning into real words, and I had lyrics by the time I was finished writing the song.
Wow.
And just really happy with the way it came out. Originally, that song was also very different. When I decided I wanted to record this record, that was going to be the first song on the record.
Okay.
And I was just thinking acoustic and vocals. I'm over at DJ's house, our friend DJ Lavery from Muldier.
Hi, DJ.
Hi, DJ. Telling him about this, I'm thinking like, probably acoustic and vocals, maybe some drums, maybe a drum machine, like an 808 sort of thing. He's like, well, let's try it out. He had a little Bluetooth speaker, so he connected his phone, brought up GarageBand, and like, okay, what's the drum beat? Made a loop. I'm playing along. I'm like, I don't know, this sounds okay. And suddenly, he just goes, wah, and he started playing this synth, and I'm like, yes, that's fucking it.
Yeah.
finished the song. I'm like, all right, what was that? He was like, I just opened up Alchemy Synth, and that was the first preset. It's called Epic Cloud Formation. I was like, what were you playing? He was like, I was just holding down E. I was like, well, that's the fucking sound.
Right.
And so that night I went home and wrote out a full synth part with that E drone as a bassist. And like by the end of the song, like there was this instrumental part that I came up with that I liked so much that I didn't want to just hear it at the end of the song.
Mm-hmm.
So I restructured the song to make that work. And so basically rewrote the entire song, the structure of the song anyways, from that one note that he played.
Wow.
And it was one note that I wouldn't have done otherwise. If it was just me at home, I wouldn't have thought about it. But he's sitting there with his phone and he hits a note. And it became a new thing. But I think my favorite song in the record might be Ely Lights.
Mm-hmm. That's a nice song. I really like that one.
That song, like I said, normally I spend months writing a song.
Mm-hmm.
But I wrote that song while I was recording the record. One night I picked up a guitar and came up with that intro riff. And for some reason I told myself, like, all right, if I'm going to write a song, I'm going to do it in one sitting. I've never done this before. Like, let's see if I can come up with a second part. If I can come up with a second part at least, then it can maybe be a song.
Sure.
I did. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to stop until I finished writing this song. And it took me about 4 or 5 hours, but I finished the song that night.
Wow.
And then the next morning, wrote the lyrics and said, I'm not gonna stop writing these until they're finished. So, and yeah, it was the most intentional writing process that I've had. And everything just kind of came out right. I mean, the song on the surface, it feels like a verse, chorus sort of song.
Mm-hmm.
But you listen to it, none of those parts there aren't actually really any repeating parts. Right. It feels like an A-B song, but it's not really. And the lyrics, they feel like a love song, but if you look a little deeper, they're not really. And so there's some depth to it, and the recording, that's the one I recorded on the cassette recorder.
Okay.
So Tascam 488 Mark II multi-track cassette recorder at Porta Studio. And the recording just came out. I did that in a night as well. That song just all came together, like, by far quicker than anything else I've ever done.
Yeah. I like when that happens. It's like magic when you get that, it's like lightning in a bottle type of situation.
It's just kind of recording it is just kind of in a flow state.
So you say you have about 4 albums worth of music?
Yeah, I'd say so.
When can we expect to hear something? You have a single coming out, right?
The single, the double B-side, that should be done about the time this episode of your podcast will be out.
Oh.
So yeah, maybe that would coincide well.
It was so nice to talk to you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having
to come
me.
to come talk to me. And I can't wait. I really can't wait.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thanks. This was fun.